Hello everybody, welcome to Celloprofessor.com. This is my YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Jamie Fiste. I teach cello at Central Michigan University. So this is part 2 of bow arm technique. So we are going to talk about changing directions and what we can do to make that as efficient and as relaxed and as smooth as possible. So this is another motion we can do in our bow arm. I want you just to watch my hand, watch the end of the bow here. Did you catch that? What shape am I doing? See the little circle? All right. From my perspective, that is going counterclockwise. From your perspective, it's going to be the opposite. And then what I would like to show you is what I do with the frog, and then we'll go into some exercises. So watch my elbow. What do you see? See a little circle? See it? So why would we want to do that? Why would we want to make little circles? Well, consider this. Have you ever watched swimming in the Olympics or just anywhere? So how do the swimmers change directions, right? They do a big circle kind of thing. Well, they do a big arc. Like they go down, they come back up in the pool, and then they go to the other side of the pool, and then they'll like kind of do this thing, and then they go back that way, and they do that thing, and it's just, right? They're not starting and stopping, right? So we can do the same thing with our bow. And it's more efficient. I mean, it's going to take more energy to stop your whole arm. Some of you are doing this when you bow. And you have this like sudden jerky motion when you change direction. I've seen that before. And you can almost see like the bicep kind of go like that. This helps a lot. Learning how to do this circle. So what are the motions involved? Well, the first one, basically, let me say this first. Basically, it's the same motion as string crossings. So you may want to watch the video on string crossings because it's basically the same motion but a micro version of it. Especially in the upper half. You know, I'll do this stir the cake motion as my teacher used to call it. And it's basically like this. So it's made up of what I call the robot wave. Actually, a student gave me that name years ago. So robot wave, this is my upper arm is basically just swiveling in the shoulder socket like this. All right, it's a ball and socket joint there in the shoulder, combined with door and a hinge, which is the forearm. The hinge in this motion is the elbow. The hinge in this motion is the shoulder. So you put these together, and you've got your little circle, right, which you can use for string crossings and which you can use for bow changes at the tip. All right, so that's what you're going to need to practice. You need to do this. You're going to need to do this. I mean, once you can do it in string crossings, again, watch the video on string crossings. This will be much easier. So it's basically the same thing. Again, it's just a micro version. We're not going to do it so much that we're going to bump a string. See it? Good. Now, I showed you this one at the frog. You can kind of see my elbow doing it, right? It's doing that little circle thing. Kind of comes over the top. So now when I do this at the frog, we need this to go into the hand a little bit, because otherwise it'll affect the bow too much. You'll just kind of be bumping strings. We want the bow to stay basically in the same place. I mean, it'll rock a little bit, which I think is okay. But so you notice as my elbow goes up, it's going to pivot my hand this way, and as the elbow goes down, it's going to pivot my hand that way. So I would recommend watching my video on the loose bow hold. I have one that's really old from like 2008, and I have a much newer one that I did recently. So basically it's involving, and there's quite a bit involved in that motion, so I won't repeat it here, but just find my other video on the loose bow hold, relaxed bow hold. But basically the fingers all have pivot points, including the thumb, and they pivot on the bow like this. Some of you are so locked up, like you just, if you raised your elbow, it's just going to go right into your bow. But you got to learn to do this kind of thing. I mean, we use it all the time for things. Look at that. See me pivoting and rocking back and forth? Some of you need to learn to get a little bit more pronated when you do it. So you get that first finger in the bow. We use it for articulations, things like this. But we need this pivoting. So you see my hand, it pivots, right? Why my elbow does that little circular thing. So those are the techniques involved here. So they're kind of related. They're related to these other techniques. This is related to a string crossing technique, and this one is related to the loose bow hold. We needed both. So here it is again. So why don't I play a little something that has these two parts of the bow in it. All right, so here we go. Okay, just catch some of that. See some of the circles, and there were some separate bows at the front. So that was the second theme of the first movement of the Sassol Concerto. Probably most of you know that, maybe not, depending. So anyway, I hope that helps, right? So you've got this plus this equals this. Good for string crossings and that little bit of that. This one, this circle, when you kind of do the circular motion, it has to go into a pivot into the hand. Otherwise, you're going to end up doing too much of that, right? Those are the two motions to help you make a nice, smooth bow change, and it's particularly helpful for those of you that kind of do this tensy thing when you change directions. Just putting that into a circular motion here can really help clear that up. All right, hopefully that makes some sense. That's it for today, and stay tuned for some more videos later. Take care.